broadcasting live to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and so much more. This is Go Live with Restream from your host, Ian Anderson Gray, the show that helps you expand your audience and reach through the power of multi-streaming video.
Hello, Ian Anderson Gray here. This is the Go Live with Restream show. I'm really excited to be here. This is a brand new show. This is episode 2 of a new show powered by Restream. Restream is the complete suite, multi-streaming suite for entrepreneurs, and it helps you expand your audience and reach through the power of multi-streaming video. And that's what this show's all about multi-streaming video. Very excited today. I've got my good friend Jeff Sieh on, who is a veteran live streamer. I think that's fair to say. So we're going to be talking about the power of multi-streaming, and also Jeff will be sharing some of his multi-streaming tips. So if you're watching the replay, do remember to put hashtag replay in the comments. That would be great to know that you're watching that. And also, I'd love to know where in the world you are watching from. I can see Andy Foote is here. He's watching on LinkedIn. He says, I'm dancing. Anyone else? And Obed says, hola. Great to see you guys. So let me just get rid of that. So fabulous. Well, let's talk about Restream. Let's talk about Restream because it is an awesome tool, and a tool that I use every single live stream that I do. And let me just share my screen. In fact, let's do this. Let's see if this works. That doesn't work. Let's just do this. Is that going to work? There we go. It's great when the tech works. So Restream, you can find out more just by going to iag.me/Restream. Restream is great because it allows you to broadcast to more than one platform really, really easily, allowing you to boost your views, increase your reach, and reach loads more audiences than you would normally do. In fact, you can reach up to, more than 30 different platforms all at the same time, which is amazing. So just Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, OK, VK, Acriva TV, loads and loads of different places. And you can also do it directly from your browser. And this week I'm using the live studio from Restream Studio. So you can stream professionally from your browser really, really easily. Bring in comments, bring in guests. You can have up to 20 people on the screen at the same time, which is amazing, allowing you to multiply your views. One of the things I love about Restream is the ability to see all the comments from all the different platforms and be able to highlight them on the screen, which is what I'm going to be doing. So please do get involved with the chat. And if you've got any questions, me, Jeff, and also the guys from Restream will be able to help you. You can also stream your pre-recorded videos live as well. So if you're a little bit nervous and you want to dip your toe in the live streaming world, you can do that. And then finally are the analytics. And this is great because this allows you to see how your live streams are doing in terms of the number of views you've got and whether you've got any dips halfway through your live stream. Maybe I don't know, maybe you need to work at the middle section of your live streaming. So do check that out. Restream.com, Restream, iag.me, if I can get it right. iag.me/Restream is where you need to go. Awesome. Right. Well, it's time to bring in my friend, Jeff Sieh. Jeff Sieh is an amazing guy. We've known each other for quite a long time. In fact, I think it's since 2015, 2014. Jeff is an international speaker who specializes in visual marketing. His focus includes Pinterest, Instagram, and live video. Jeff has produced and created content for Guy Kawasaki, Kim Gast, Tailwind, and Social Media Examiner. So I think it's time to bring in Jeff. Are you ready, Jeff? Here we go. Is the tech working?
Yeah, you are. There you are. You're back. Okay, you were paused there for a little bit, or I was. Who knows?
Oh,
but
who knows? That's
what we're going to talk about today is live video. So, and I'm a big fan of Restream as well. I use it quite a bit. So I'm excited to talk about. We already got some great comments in the chat. Make sure you ask your questions because we want to make this as interactive as possible. Because Ian's super smart, and we want to pick his brain as much as we possibly can.
Well, the same goes to you, Jeff. We want to pick your brain. This is great to have you on. So but speaking of comments, we've got some fabulous people here. We say from the UK, who have we got? Charles is from Austin.
Texas, awesome.
Down the road. just down the road from you, I think.
Yeah, quite a bit a ways down. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and yes, says, I haven't registered for Restream yet, so wanted to get some more info. So yeah, if you've got any questions, let me know. And another question, this is interesting. Isn't it against partner rules to multi-stream? And it was possible. It was for Facebook. Facebook didn't want you really to do it, although it wasn't. I don't know if you know this, Jeff, but it used to be that Facebook didn't want tools to allow you to stream to Facebook and other ones at the same time. But apparently, in the last, I think it's at least in the last year or two, they've changed that, and it is definitely
it was weird. They didn't want you to use the one that lets you use the API, but you could go in, do an RTMP, which we're getting super nerdy about live streaming. But so I've been doing multi-streaming since you weren't supposed to. So I have always been a fan of multi-streaming because I love doing it at one time and letting it go everywhere, and kind of, if I'm doing a live show, and if you know how hard it is, everybody, to create content, it's tough. And being able to go live in a bunch of different places. The thing that was the big hiccup, and a lot of live streaming people and professionals would say don't do it because the comments were fragmented. So you couldn't see comments and you had to do all these workarounds. But that's what's really cool about Restream is right now I can tell Melissa, I think, is from Cheshire. She's from Facebook. I see Lewis asked Restream or Caster. We are using Restream. Lewis, he's over on LinkedIn. And it's really cool. I can tell where people are from. I can say hi to my YouTube fans. I can say hi to LinkedIn people. Restream has made it super easy, and that's what's so cool about live streaming in 2020.
I know there is a difference between live streaming in 2020 and a couple of years ago. I mean, the technology has really, really moved on, and you're totally right. I was talking about this last week on the show about that. There was a time when I probably wouldn't recommend multi-streaming because there was that fragmentation of the comments. We would see all the people's comments on the live, and it was difficult to manage as well. So, but the great thing now is it's a lot easier to do it, and I think most of the reasons for not multi-streaming have gone. I would still say, and I'm sure you would say this, Jeff, that if you're just dipping your toe in the live streaming world and you're a bit lacking in confidence, it's probably best not to multi-stream to 30 different destinations right from the start. Right. What do you think?
Yes, and that's one of the things I see people who are just getting started kind of struggle with. They either bite off too much to chew at first, and then they're like, well, what button do I press? And it looks kind of, they're freaking out. So when you're first getting started, yes, I would just go to one platform, maybe two. But the cool thing is now the technology has caught up to a lot of our, live streaming wishes and allows you to do this. So the jump to being able to handle and control comments and do multi-streaming a lot quicker after you've built up just, the general stuff for going, like you mentioned, Ian, being confident and going live in front of people. That's one skill set, but it lets you really quickly scale up using tool like Restream to do this. And there's a great question from YouTube by Charles. He says, hello, Ian. He's a big fan of Restream, but he wants to know how to present and manage a constant flood of chat without pausing my presentation flow. That is something, Charles, and I know Ian will speak about this, that does come with just doing it, and so you try. My thing is always try to build it organically into what I'm talking about right now, because we were talking about that. Your comment made sense, so we pulled it in. That just comes with practice. It's the same way, like if I remote produce a lot of other people's content, so I'm like in the background and I'm pulling up comments for them to do. And what I do is, like, if they're talking about a certain subject and I see a question even previously that makes sense to pull up, I'll pull it up that way. So you can do it that way. There's also some of my friends over at Live Streaming Pros. What they'll do is they have built into their show. They'll do their presentation, and then they have special places where they stop and answer questions. And so it's easier for them to repurpose it, and also it gives them a spot like, hey, I'm going to question and just about let me finish this and we'll get to the question. So you can do it either way. I just tend to do it organically, as it makes sense, just because, and Ian, I think, does the same thing, because we've done it for so long.
Yeah, I think you're right. And actually having a plan, I mean, I don't know whether you have this, Jeff, but having a plan, and if you're going to be sharing like a topic, there might be three things, and then at the end or in between each one, I have to actually write this down and remind myself that it's time to look at the comments and stuff. And wouldn't it be amazing if we all had guests like Jeff who actually looked at the comments and highlighted the way through? That's awesome. I love that. That's great. And actually, I just did it. Yeah. No, that's great. That's exactly what we want. And that was a great question, Charles. And this is actually a new feature within Restream Studio, the ability for the guest to actually see the comments, which is really, really useful for you. I mean, I think that's important for you as a guest to be able to get involved with the show, wouldn't you say? Oh, yeah. I think the more... And so my thing about live video is I will not use any tool that does not allow me to bring comments up. If I can't bring comments up on a live video and interact with the audience, then I might as well just produce a YouTube video and upload it. But the whole thing, and I am all for live video because there is no other way to interact worldwide with customers, clients, prospects than live video. That I can interact with them live, answer their questions, and bring them on screen. Everybody loves to see their avatar, their face on screen, and if you are doing a live show and you're consistent about it, people show up and you can start recognizing their names and going, oh, hey, Martin Buckland from LinkedIn, you've been here for the last 3 ones. I really appreciate you coming. Thanks so much. Do you have any questions? Did I answer that question to your liking, Martin? Because I just want to make sure that I explained it the way I needed to. So when you can do stuff like that, oh my gosh, you start to build a following and people are like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's interacting with me. And it's not just a webinar. It is interacting with the people who want to learn from you and who potentially will buy your product or service. Love that. Really, really important. And yeah, this is something that I think no matter how long you've been doing this for, you still need reminding. And so I love the fact that you're reminding me to look at the comments. And because it's so, this is probably something you're going to talk about later, I know, because we talked about this just before we started, about the fact that sometimes I think as when we do live streams, we can make it all about ourselves, and it's not, is it? It's about our audience. And so since that, we have got some lovely live viewers. I'm going live to my YouTube page and Facebook page and lots of other channels like Twitch and OK and VK and Akriva TV. All these, it's really exciting to try all these different channels. Mm-hmm. But also we're going live to the Restream YouTube page and Facebook page. So it's great to have you here. Thank you, Louis, for that question. I think we'll get back to you and we'll talk about the Restream people are in the room as well. And I can also see that Melissa is here. Hi, Melissa from Sandbach, which is just down the road from me. She's great. And what else have we got? Yeah, we've got some questions about some more technical questions. Does Restream allow to add rolling text on live video? So it depends what you mean by rolling text. And I suppose at this point, Jeff, it's probably a good idea. We're probably getting a little bit techie. I wanted to kind of broaden things out. But just before we get into my main questions, it's probably a good idea to just talk about the differences between Restream actually has lots and lots of different packages or parts to it. And so one of them is what's called Restream Studio, which is what we're using today. This allows you to go live directly from your browser. You can add graphics, you can bring in guests, you can highlight comments on the screen and things like that. But there is the other part of Restream, which allows you to use a third-party tool. This is if you don't mind getting a bit more techie. You could use the likes of OBS Studio, you could use vMix, you could use Wirecast, you could use Ecamm Live, and they allow you to stream to Restream, and then that allows you to stream everywhere else. So with all of those tools, you can do what you like. You can do scrolling text and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. When it comes to Restream Studio, it's still a fairly new product, but they are adding, I'm so impressed with them, they're adding so many new features all the time. So if at the moment it doesn't do something, you will be able to do that later. So at the moment I can do things like this. I can add titles on the screen, for example. I can add graphics and videos. So I can do, for example, this is a pre-recorded video. So that was a little countdown. So you can do lots of things like that. And this is all within Restream Studio. So I hope that kind of answers your question. And if you've got any more specific questions, then you can get in touch with the Restream people. Martin Buckland is here. It's great to see Martin. Martin is awesome. I think you met Martin last year in London?
At Janet Murray's event, yes.
At Janet Murray's event, yes. And yes, you can add a logo on the screen, definitely. In fact, this logo on the top right is one of those things. So I'll get back to some other comments too. Please leave some more comments and any questions you've got for me or Jeff. That would be great. So what I wanted to ask you, Jeff, is do you remember your first live stream? How did it go?
Oh, man. Yeah, you can actually probably find it somewhere. I remember. So what I did is I had a show back in the olden days on Google Plus, and the funny thing was it was like with 5 other guys who had more following than I did, and that was back in the Wild West days. In fact, Google actually kind of had the first live video stuff, and it was pretty easy to use, and we did a lot of shows there. But I remember the first time, so I had cashed in, I was really good friends with Peg Fitzpatrick, who ran the social media accounts for Guy Kawasaki, who, if you don't know who he was the chief evangelist for Apple. He's now the chief evangelist for Canva. So it was a big get for me to get. It was my first solo show. And we'll talk about probably the different types of shows later on. But my first solo show by myself, me and a guest, I got him on, and I was going. It was right before, and I'm like, he's in the green room, and I'm getting ready to go live. I got everything ready. I got my water bottle, and it was one like this. It was it was from Walmart or something. But I backed up, and I came to the desk, and I hit the edge of my desk, and for some reason, this whole thing cracked, and the whole bottom dropped out, and all the water was in my lap, and it's like, and we're live, and I'm like sitting there for the entire show with a wet crotch. So that was my first solo live video event. So that being said, you're always prepared after that. Things are going to break. Things won't work. Your guest mic won't work. I was doing a show with my friend Elisa Meredith, and her cat saw a squirrel outside, and all of a sudden you see this guy go chung and just land on the screen and just stick there like Spider-Man. Stuff happens. It's gonna happen on live video. Mics will follow. I mean, somebody had one of their lights fall on their head, so it's just gonna happen. And so you're just gonna have to know that things are gonna break, things are gonna mess up, and nobody is going to leave you or quit watching because of something like an accident happened or something like that. So just be ready. But that was my first real experience that I had a wet crotch with Guy Kawasaki. Yeah.
That's I've got this slightly unhelpful.
Yeah. And I don't think Guy even knew. I mean, it's funny because I produce this podcast now, and I don't think I've ever told him that story. I need to do that. But yeah, it was.
You should. Yeah. I think when you edit it, if you're in the middle of editing his podcast, you can put that little snippet in.
Yeah.
David is here. Kilkelly, great to see you, David. Talking about mistakes. Yes, we are. It's how we learn. I don't know what you think about this, Jeff, but I think if you haven't made any mistakes in your live streams,
haven't done live video. You haven't done live video.
You haven't done enough. I'd certainly say that. So yeah, let us know if you're watching live or the replay. Put in the comments what your first live experience was like, and did it go flawlessly, or were there any mistakes? Be brave. We've all made mistakes. Oh my goodness, I should do a whole show on the mistakes I've made.
Yes.
Yeah, and so there we go. Oh yes, Martin says, did you know that I'm one of Ian's groupies? Oh, well,
everybody's Ian's groupie. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's very, very nice of you, Jeff. I'll pay you later. So, what's a typical week for you when it comes to live streaming? Because one of the things that I mentioned in the introduction is you manage the live streams for quite a few different entrepreneurs out there. You mentioned Kim Garst and Social Media Examiner, and there's probably quite a few others. Tailwind as well,
right,
which is a Pinterest and Instagram tool. So I know that you do a lot of live streams, and I think most of them you multi-stream them as well. Mm-hmm. So just give us an idea of your typical week for you, and how do you keep sane with all those shows and all the tech that goes with it?
So the biggest thing you can do is have a checklist. And so it's, like I said, it is so much easier now with Restream and being able to pull in comments and do all that kind of stuff. So, and even before, I had been doing Social Media Examiners did a lot of their hosting, even when like with Eric Fisher when he was running it and stuff like that. So you can produce behind the scenes. I've done a lot of that. For like Kim on Monday, she has a great show every Monday, the Marketing to Grow Your Business show. And so I am in behind the scenes. So I'm running that for her. We mentioned before how I was pulling up comments for her. So I schedule the show, I get it all set up. And during the show, I'm watching everything to make sure it's going out to all the streams. I'm pulling up comments for her that make sense in the show. I'm also recording it so I can repurpose it later. So we take all of the her content, and that's the other great thing about live video is being able to repurpose it. So we cut it up into snippets. We grab quote graphics from it and create them from like things that like if Ian was a guest, the amazing thing he would say on the show, we would make a graphic out of that. And so I capture all that, get that all to her, do that on Mondays. Then like Thursdays, I'm trying to do I do a little carving show. You can kind of see some in the background that I just do ever since the COVID started, just to have something relaxing to do. And I get a lot of engagement. I thought it was just going to be a goofy little thing that I did, but people really like that show, and I use Restream to do that. And I go to Twitch. I get a lot of engagement over there. So I do that usually on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It's been so hot here that I've kind of not. I'm trying to, I didn't go Monday, so I'll do it Wednesday. But and then I do a Tailwinds on Thursday, and then Friday we do the Social Media Marketing Talk Show, which is a podcast as well as a live video. So lots of live video during the week.
That is a lot. And so where do you, destination-wise, where do you tend to focus on with Restreaming?
So for Social Media Examiner, we just pretty much hit YouTube, and because they really want to build up their YouTube show, the presence, and Facebook. For Kim, we go live everywhere. And when I say everywhere, it's YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and LinkedIn. And the same with Tailwind. So with mine, when I do my show, like I said, for crafters, Twitch is a place. I would also go into Mixer till they got shut down. They're not doing that Mixer anymore. So yeah, it is sad. So the Mixer guys were great. I really like Mixer. So for the creators, there's a lot of stuff going on over on Twitch. So I've been streaming there as well. So, but Restream has all these ones that that are just amazing that they can go to all these different places. Now I really want to go live to those 30 different places. I don't know if that may be a little overkill for me, but I want to play with it anyway.
Well, exactly. I think some of us just love playing, and sometimes you can be really surprised at a particular destination that you'll get actually quite a few live viewers. So it's good to test things and play around.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We've got loads of comments. Sorry, I've not been able to get back to you, everyone, but it's loads of comments here. So Lani says, do you need to subscribe to Scheduler to be able to schedule a video? So I'm not entirely sure, Lani, what you mean by that. Any ideas, Jeff, what that could mean?
I don't know about subscribe to a scheduler, but Larnie, will you clarify a little bit what you mean by that so we can try to answer that as best we can? But I don't think you need to subscribe to any scheduler that I know of.
No. Well, there's two different types of scheduling, or scheduling as we say in the UK. So there's the scheduler within Restream, which allows you to schedule a pre-recorded video, and then there's the ability to schedule a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live. And I mean, let us know what you mean by that.
This is part of Restream.
Oh, he's right. Is that right? Yeah. So that's this. So yeah, that's part of Restream, the scheduling part of Restream.
The package, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the package. So yeah, if you want to have a little play, just go to iag.me/Restream, and you can sign up for a free account. Some other questions. So Lani also says, can you have Restream chat on your mobile whilst streaming from your laptop? That's an interesting one. Certainly, if you're using the studio, I can see the comments, and you can see the comments, the chat on the screen. There's also an app. If you're going live from a third-party tool, you can download an app for Mac and PC. I've never tried. I'd be interested if the guys from Restream are here, whether you can.
Larnie, I would say that there's not a real reason to, because of if you're using like the live studio inside of Restream, you wouldn't need to do it, because then you'd have to be like looking at your phone. And right now the chat's just right over here, and I can just kind of glance over to it. So if you're using a laptop, I would use the new live studio inside of Restream, because then you wouldn't have to be looking down and stuff. And that's the other thing, Ian and I have talked about before on other shows, is like we had to train ourselves to look at the camera. And like my camera right now is above my monitor, so I have to look at it. And I actually, for many years, had a Post-it note sticker with an arrow to point to my camera to remind me. But now it's just, but you can glance down, like I look at the comments and I look back at the thing, and that's fine. So I would think that having it on your phone would be a little too distracting, but the way they've got it laid out right now in Live Studio, it's really cool. It's just right there on the side. You can glance at it, and yeah, really, really cool. Ooh, a good question from Doug Piper over on YouTube. Oh, I want to take this one. Ooh. So does Restream Studio, you see it? It's the last one that came in. It says, does Restream Studio simulcast to, I'm thinking he says it's IGV. What is it? Is it IGTV? He
probably means IGTV.
Yeah. So, boy, howdy, would we love to do that. You can do it with a app that we don't know if it breaks their terms of service or not because it's really gray. There's an app called Yellow Duck, and you can actually do that with Restream, which I have done before as a test. But Instagram/Facebook has not opened up the API for Instagram yet. So there's a little bit of, from talking to other live streamers, is it okay? Is it not? You're not going to be able to pull the comments because, like I said, there's not an official API that Restream can grab the comments from. So you're not going to be able to do comments. And when you're doing IGTV, a lot of times it is about the comments if you're doing a live on Instagram. So I would probably not do that. I've tested it and it does work with Restream, but and it's a little plugin called Yellow Duck, but I would not probably recommend it just because of that reason.
I'm not, obviously the caveat here is I am not a lawyer, but I've looked at the terms and conditions, and it's pretty clear that you should not be reverse engineering the API, and I'm pretty sure that tools like the one you mentioned do that. So I think err on the side of caution, because the last thing that you want is to get your Instagram account disabled, suspended by Instagram. So, and the other thing, I don't know what you think about this, Jeff, is that I think we should be treating Instagram Live or IGTV, because there's Instagram Live and then there's IGTV, and I think they're different. But if you're talking about Instagram Live, I think you should be treating it slightly differently anyway, because I think it is more of a, I don't know, it's a more kind of raw and authentic medium. What would you say about that? Yeah,
so I would never have tested that on a client's account. I used my own account to test that because I didn't want to, because there is a chance that you could get your account banned or whatever. I just wanted to do it because I'm a live video nerd and I wanted to see. Because IGTV, now you could actually we talked a little bit about repurposing your lives earlier. You could actually take some of your live, like if Ian had a great teaching moment on like Live Studio here in Restream that made sense, he could actually chop that up and upload it as an IGTV video. That might work. But the live video multi-streaming thing just still isn't open yet with the API. But I have no problem with people like chopping up stuff and using it in an IGTV video, because that's what Instagram really wants. They wanted that produced video to go to IGTV.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great. We've got some other questions just before I get back to you, Jeff. Just we're a little bit behind. So there's a great question. I'm so sorry I can't pronounce your name. I could have a go and I'll probably completely mess it up. But it's a great question. Does it affect the quality of the video when restreaming to different platforms?
Ooh, this is a good one.
And I suppose it's a really good question, this. And I suppose, so I talked about this last week, but there are two different types of multi-streaming. Now, Jeff, you use software called vMix a lot of the time. And I know you've used lots of other software like that. I think you've done with Wirecast, and don't know whether you've done OBS. So some tools out there, such as vMix, and I think you can probably go into more detail on this, Jeff. Briefly, from me, you can stream to two different channels at the same time if your computer is powerful enough and you've got a good internet bandwidth.
Right.
But the other way is to use a service like Restream, and so basically using a cloud-based multi-streaming.
Right.
And it sounds a bit more complicated, but the idea is you just send one stream to Restream and then it takes care of itself. So you've done both, haven't you, Jeff?
So I have to test, but so I've always used a cloud-based when I go to multicasting. Now, if I want to go just straight to YouTube or straight to Facebook, that's one thing. But you have to have a lot of bandwidth, and you have to really have a high-end computer to do that with. And the cloud thing takes all that away. Being able to take one stream, push it to Restream, and let them do all the heavy lifting and having them do it in high quality, that's what's amazing. So that has changed the game, being able to do that, because you just have to have enough, squeak together enough bandwidth to have a good stream going up, and then they take care of the rest. And that's a big deal for people who are in rural areas. And also, you need to remember, and a lot of people overlook this, when you have your internet service provider, when they talk about internet speeds, most of the time they're quoting you the download speed. They'll say like 1 gazillion something down, and then they say, well, you only get 5 megabytes up. Well, the minimum I say to go live on Facebook is to stream is at least 10 megabytes up. That's pretty. You can get a good stream out that way. But you need to double check with your internet service provider that you're getting that, and you're getting a steady upload stream, because it's not just download, it's upload as well.
Yeah, the stability of that. So yeah, I thought it was important to clarify that first. But yeah, coming back to the question, does it affect the quality of the video? If you are doing the kind of the vMix or Wirecast way of streaming to 2 different platforms at the same time from your computer, then if your computer can't cope with it, yes, the quality will degrade. Yeah. But if you're using a service like Restream, as long as you can send one solid stream out to Restream, Restream takes care of the rest of it, and so the quality will not be changed, even if you go live to 30 different platforms at the same time. It doesn't matter.
And the cool thing is, like, some places like Facebook, I think, still doing 720 for some people, and YouTube is 1080. And so Restream will make it for that. I believe for that platform, it won't. You can boost it so you don't have to worry about like, oh, this one's only having this resolution and this one, because Facebook, I don't know what you have, Ian, but some people have 4K, some people are still on 1080p resolution. So having it just go to one space and then they take care of the rest, that is a big headache. Because when I first started live streaming, I was looking at bit rates and trying to figure out what compression to use and try to get it so it, can I do 2 at once? Will that work? Or, and this way it just, it takes all the headache away from it.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think I still got 720p on Facebook. And in fact, most people I know have got that. But I think some very special people out there have been upgraded to 1080p. But the good news is, if you can send 1080p, we're getting a bit techie here, but if you send full HD 1080p to Facebook, and you don't have it, Facebook actually takes care of it. They're okay with it. They'll go, okay, you give me 1080. I can't give you 1080, but I'm happy to receive it. And it's a bit like that. So we're going to get more of a technical question from Charles Breed here, which I'm not sure I'm necessarily going to answer. But he says, why wouldn't Zoom, WebEx, GoToMeeting just add RTMP for multi-streaming to other platforms? I suppose, well, I don't know why they've not built it in. It's hard work to create a multi-streaming service.
So yeah, like Zoom, a lot of people. The problem is, and I'll go back to my earlier thing. I said none of those let you put comments on the screen. That's the whole. I think the whole reason you want to do live video. Zoom and those things are great for webinars or for doing masterminds or like meeting with clients, but it's not the same thing like Restream, and all this is, we're going to Facebook and all that stuff. It's all about the interactivity. It's all about, oh, Doug's got a question. Oh, Red Ghost from New York is, has a question. So, I mean, that kind of stuff, being able to talk directly to people is really, really important. And Zoom and those things are really, I think, great for what they're made for, but I don't see them going to do this anytime soon.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're focusing on Zoom and GoToWebinar. They're focusing on meeting or webinar apps. The live streaming part of those apps is kind of like almost like an afterthought. It's just an add-on.
Right.
And the good thing is you can, I think with Zoom, you can send out an RTMP. So you could RTMP out into Restream, but I'd probably just use I'd probably use Restream Studio or third-party
Right.
tool with Restream and do it that way.
Yeah.
Doug Piper says, is great question. Does Restream Studio provide any registration, email, reminder, email marketing for live streams? And the answer to that is no, because it's not. Restream focuses on the main parts of live streaming. All those extra bits like registration and email marketing, you really need to get to use an email marketing software, whether that's ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign or MailChimp. But one thing that you can do is, if you are looking at doing a webinar, is to go live to YouTube and change the privacy settings to unlisted or private, and then you can effectively make it like a webinar. Use some registration or email software like ActiveCampaign or whatever, and do it that way. That's probably what would you do, Jeff?
You could do it you could do it that way. You could also do it inside of a private Facebook group if a lot of your people were already inside of Facebook. It kind of defeats the whole purpose of like Restream is to go live everywhere and all at once. So what you could do is use it to advertise a place to go for your live. So like if you, like Ian mentioned, like ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit or whatever, if you had a landing page set up, you could go live all those different places, say, hey, I'm going to just tease you a little bit. I'm going to teach you how to go live. But if you want to really dive deep, you need to go to my webinar. And the webinar is here. You could bring it up on your screen because like Ian said before, you have graphics. So you could actually send them to that landing page from going live to all these 30 different places. And then, use Restream to drive people in to like your Facebook group or into that sign up landing page. So that's what I would do, because you could actually, I think it'd be a great thing to do, because you could have people ask questions, what the webinar is going to be about, how do I join, all that stuff. You could answer them right here live. So I think using them in conjunction with a landing page or a private Facebook group would be the way to go for signups. Yeah,
I agree. It's not going to be as easy as using a dedicated webinar software, but I think you get a lot more in this way. So if you're using the likes of Restream Studio, you can broadcast that out to lots of different places, and they can be private. So you mentioned Facebook group and YouTube unlisted videos. So yeah, definitely. So a similar question to what was earlier. Everyone I know is using Zoom, but in your personal opinion, is Restream better? And I think, just my view on that before I bring it over to you, Jeff, is they're very different. Zoom is a meeting app. It's really for video conferencing. Yes, it has some live streaming capabilities, but they're very, very basic. And you can't bring in comments. You can't highlight stuff on the screen. And it's just a very different thing. So I use Zoom, and I know you use Zoom, Jeff, for meetings. But when it comes to live streaming, I don't use Zoom.
No, I just use it for like if I have a client or somebody wants to pay for consulting or something like that, I like to use Zoom because then I can record it and give them the recording afterwards. But it's like apples and oranges to me. It's two different things. I know we're always like, we want to save money and not spend stuff. And so what I use Zoom, I use the free version of Zoom because it's perfect for me for client calls. Because if it's one-on-one, it's free. If you just have one person. And so I still use the free version, and I can still set up client meetings and do all that kind of stuff. So, if you ask me what I'm going to pay for, I want to pay for Restream because that allows me to go live, advertise my services, and use that. And then if I need to do consulting, I have that free version of Zoom that I can use.
Definitely. Of course, Restream has a free plan as well. Got lots of different plans. But definitely check out Restream. Heather Nichols is here. Howdy from...
Hey, Heather, how are you? I bet she's cooking something. She's always making...
Is she? Yeah.
Sure. Instagram, she makes all this great stuff I see on her feed.
I'm going to have to check that out. Yeah. So you're making me hungry already. She says, magic word for all things business, checklists. Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. We love checklists. So, So we're currently using Restream Studio for this broadcast, and this is, if you've just joined us, is the Go Live with Restream show. This is all about how you can level up your live streams using the power of multi-streaming video. You can increase your reach and reach new audiences out there, and you can do it all very easily. All you need to do is go to iag.me/Restream iag.me/restream. Let's get it up on the page. iag.me/restream. You can sign up for a free account, and they've also got some amazing paid plans too. So definitely check that out. Right, well, we've still got some amazing comments, but I do want to get back to just a few other questions I wanted to ask you. Okay. So if that's okay with you.
Sure.
What was the next one? Oh, yeah, that was it. What are the potential pitfalls to multi-streaming? You know, things that if we're dipping our toe in the multi-streaming universe that we should be aware of. You know, you being a veteran now of multi-streaming video, what would you say to people just dipping their toe?
So I guess the biggest thing that I've seen lately, and because Kim is really killing it, Kim Garst on her live studio, is I've noticed sometimes there's been a problem with some spam. And so I've had to go into Facebook Creator Studio and turn on some comment moderation things for that. When you start growing and you're doing it from multi-platforms, you can miss comments. Sometimes it's easy to do if you're getting a lot of stuff from LinkedIn and also from YouTube. And we've got quite a few today. And trying to manage all those so people don't feel like you're ignoring them, that can be an issue. But it is so much easier, because I remember before we would go live and we could only like get the Facebook comments in, and we totally like ignore Periscope or YouTube or whatever. And you really don't have that problem anymore because you see them all and you can address them. But if it's going really fast, one of the pitfalls is you'll miss something. The other thing is, once in a while, because you're going to multi-platforms, things will break. Like every once in a while, I'm like, for some reason, LinkedIn won't be working, or for some reason the stream isn't going to YouTube. And most of the time it's not an issue with like Restream. It's an issue of something going on with Facebook or YouTube or whatever. And trying to diagnose that in the middle of going live can be stressful. So that's why, Ian and I talked at the beginning of the show, if you're first dipping your toes into going live, it's probably just go to Facebook or go to YouTube and get comfortable with all the buttons and what's going on and reading comments. And then slowly, you don't want to go from like just doing like YouTube to 30, that's a big jump. So I would add them in slowly. Like, okay, I'm going to go to Facebook. Now I'm going to go to Periscope, and slowly add those in and feel comfortable in managing those comments and grow your platform that way. So that's probably the biggest pitfall is, managing stuff. The other thing is when you're going live to those places, is make sure that when you're done, even if you've talked to like, hey, David Hunt says, are you using Restream Studio over on YouTube? And we say, yes, we are. We're actually using it. It's really great. The studio is awesome. But go back afterwards and leave that comment responding to him. Don't just answer in the video, because sometimes people are browsing through, ask the question, you didn't answer it quick enough, and they leave. If you go back and then mention them or respond to their comment, that's really, really important. And when you're going to multiple places, that's just that many more comments that you need to go follow up with. So if you're going to do it, you need to make sure you're doing it right, and you're not just answering it in the video, but you also yourself go and answer that question in the comment, or have a team member do it. And I know that's tough because I've not done that in the past either, but it's something that you really should do because it really does make a difference and grows your channel a lot faster.
Definitely. I love those comments. And yeah, I think the thing is, it all comes down to practice. So you will make mistakes at the start, and you've got to be okay with that. But just make a checklist and be prepared to do lots and lots of testing. And don't do what I'm doing today, which is just this is the first time I've actually gone live with Restream Studio. I've been meaning to use it for ages and ages and ages, and so make sure you do a lot of testing. Yeah,
and so and the other thing is and this isn't something bad, but it's something good, is make sure that you try to at least once a time call out somebody who's like a super fan or a friend of the show or whatever. Like I see Rob Balsabas, and I always say your name, Rob, wrong, but he was on Kim Garst's show about 2 weeks ago. He says the beard is looking solid, Jeff. Thanks, Rob. You're awesome. You need to go check out Rob's YouTube channel. He does stuff for TubeBuddy. He is amazing. Check him out. Lots of great tips on growing your YouTube channel. And so by doing that, build up your audience members, build up your people who are watching your show. If you know it's their birthday, say it. If you know that they have a Etsy shop, say it. If they're doing, they have a great channel over on YouTube like Rob does, tell them that and drive other people to it. People love it when you talk about them, and it may not happen automatically, but people will know that you're a giving person, and people will buy your product, people will subscribe to your channel, people will do this because they know you're not only just looking out for yourself, but you're looking out for other people. So that is huge. If there's one piece of advice you take away other than get Restream because it's awesome, is to do that, because it is so important to build those relationships, even in the comments.
It's so true. And I think that, would you say that comes with practice too? Because I'm going to be totally honest here, that I sometimes worry about making a mistake. So I might like stumble over somebody's word, but I, like you say, you just have to be honest about that. Sorry, I can't, I always stumble over your word, your name, or maybe I'll get something wrong, like about somebody. But I think it's better to, would you say, just to go with it and just to actually just try your best to highlight the people in your comments.
Yeah, and I'm sure I butchered his name because he said it and I'm like, oh no, that's not how I say it. Yeah, that's how I say it in my head. So, but he's a great guy, and there's relationships, and like you knew David Hunt, I think it was, or some other people who are a fan of yours over on LinkedIn, and so. When you see those people, just you want them to show up, and they want to be said. Heather Nichols, we sat down at a conference together and had dinner, and seeing her in the stream, and I can go back to that and I can talk about it. It's about building relationships with your live. It's not always about looking, like you're super professional and have all your words down. I am going to screw things up in people's names, and I will say something wrong and, maybe offensive at some point. But I think there's a lot of grace. It's live. People want to see what's going to happen live. And that's the other cool thing about live is, like, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what Jeff's going to say next.
Well, exactly. I have no idea what you're going to say next. I mean, you could be putting me off completely, but totally agree. And I think what you have just said there, Jeff, if you're watching live or watching the replay, what Jeff has just said there is such an important thing. We tend to get overly excited by the tech. A lot of the questions in the comments, and this is, I'm the same. I get excited by the tech. Jeff gets excited by the tech, but actually a lot of this is down to mindset and down to how you are in front of the camera, confidence. And we're going to be talking about this a lot more on this show. Yes, we're going to be talking about the tech and multi-streaming, and please do keep those questions coming because we love it. But you need to also think about how you are in front of the camera. But actually, the biggest thing is about your audience, isn't it? It's not about you. Not about you.
Right.
Great comments coming through. Paul says, will this video be available later to view? So for all of the places we're going live to, they'll all be available as a replay. And that, in fact, that's the case for YouTube and Facebook. You do have the option to take down the video afterwards, but in most cases you won't want to do that. So keep the comments coming. Paul also asks, can you give us a comparison between Restream and Ecamm?
Ooh, this is a great question.
That's a great question. So just before I get you in on this, Jeff,
right.
I think that's a great question. I'm just going to hopefully if the tech is going to work. There we go. So hopefully you can see that. This is an article that I wrote. So if you go to my website, iag.me, you will see a complete comparison of all the top tools there, including Restream, but also Ecamm Live as well. So check that out. But enough of me. I'm going to go back to Jeff and ask you what you would say.
So they're not either or. They work together. So I use Restream and Ecamm together. And in fact, I'm actually using Ecamm right now because I'm using their virtual camera feature to actually pull in my camera to Live Studio because I have a Canon M50, and that's one of the best ways to bring it in because Ecamm cameras just look gorgeous on their software. But so for like my carving show, I actually have two cameras. I have one on my hands and then one on my face. Like Ian had the round circle of him in the corner. I use that. And the cool thing is Restream integrates right with Ecamm. So there's a button that you can go, I want to go to Facebook, I want to go to YouTube, and it's like, go to Restream, and I have it all set up in Restream everywhere I want it to go. I click one button and I'm live everywhere inside of Ecamm. It integrates beautifully together. So it's not either or, they work seamlessly together, and that is what is very, very cool. And that's why I love using them together, because, and I'll show you later towards the end of the show, I can actually, stuff that I set up over on Ecamm, I can actually pull them up on screen on Ecamm, and it'll show up on Live Studio. So it's very, very cool.
Definitely agreed. I've lost the button. There we go. Yeah, you don't have to use one or the other. You can use them both together. Yeah. I'm using Ecamm Live as well to bring in my stuff. So you can share your screen within a Restream Studio, but I can do things like this, which will look very, very strange. You'll probably get an infinite loop there.
Oh, very meta.
which is good. But yeah, you can probably see this on the screen, hopefully. Yeah, you can. So this is my setup here. So if you go to iag.me / in fact, let me just work it out. I always forget this. I think it is Live Gear Guide. I'll put it in the comments afterwards because I can't remember. In fact, it's there, iag.me / gear guide. It's even written, I'm blind. So this is my setup. So I use Ecamm Live with Restream, and they integrate really, really well. So definitely check that out. Cool. So let's see if we've got any more comments. Do you see any questions you would like to answer? Yeah, let's have a quick look. Martin Buckland says, great advice, Jeff. I have started a Facebook Live Tuesday to build this brand, which will be on other platforms. I don't know whether you finished that sentence, but I know that Martin, since last year, was going live on so many different platforms, particularly Facebook Live, and is doing a fantastic job. So definitely keep that going. Adam says, I have Restream and my friend has vMix. How can I send my stream to be an input on his vMix? And so at this point, Jeff, I'm going to pass it on completely over to you because you're the vMix man.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think there is a way to do it, but you're going to have to get an input. So it's easy to take an output from Restream because you can do a custom RTMP. I have not tried bringing in a custom RTMP to vMix, but I think there's probably a way to do it, but it'll probably be on some of the more like the 4K plan that they have. But I have to get back to you on that one. I'm pretty sure you probably can, but I've never tried it. So, but vMix is a very, very powerful tool. It's super nerdy. So I'm pretty sure you could probably do it, but I have not tested that, so I don't know.
I'm gonna a bit more about vMix in a bit.
Okay.
Charles says, are there any limits to the number of viewers, i.e. 10 million live for a political debate? As far as I know, there are no limits on the number of viewers. I think YouTube, Facebook, they've built a system that can cope with lots and lots of people.
Yeah, I would go ahead and make sure that if you're doing something like a political debate, that you do, especially over on Facebook, that you do go in their new Creator Studio, and that works with Restream or whatever you're putting. But there's a comment moderations thing where you can set it so like only people can comment that have like 100 characters or more, or that they have to be followers, or they have to be followers for more than 2 days. So that kind of can kind of help you narrow down the spammers that will definitely come to something like that. So I would make sure to look at some of the comment moderation tools that you would have available on those platforms.
Yeah, definitely check out if you're on Facebook Live Producers, and on YouTube they've got different moderation features within that, so definitely check that out. Because I was helping to stream our church service a few weeks ago, and we got some spammers in, and then I went in and played around with the moderation features and managed to cut them down quite a bit. Yeah, so
it helps a lot.
Worth checking out. Paul says, is a question, comments and engagement is critical to hearing people's comments and response. How to manage the comments from both?
And how to best respond to comments. So you could, like we talked about a little bit earlier, is that, you can have special times where you kind of like you present your content and then you go back and respond to questions, or you can do like what we're doing is kind of organically bringing them in and talking about them, like pulling up your comment, Paul. It just depends on how easy and how comfortable you are with it, because if you're running the show, and especially, so there's kind of two different shows that I like to think of. There's like the Periscope type show where you're just talking and it's just you. And those are, to me, harder to do than having like what Ian and I are doing, where we have a guest and you can bring on comments and you both can answer them. And when the guest is talking, you can kind of go over and look and see what comments are on, and then you can come back. And that is the easiest way that I say for beginners to do is to have somebody go live with you, or bring a guest on and ask them questions, because it gives you a little space to kind of look at comments, to pull them up and get the buttons ready and all that kind of stuff. But if you're going by yourself, taking a time, and people understand that you're by yourself and that you can go and you can have, you look over there, or you could hire a team member that would highlight them for you and pull them up. It just depends on, your budget and what you're trying to do. But those are kind of the best way to manage comments. You can skip, you don't have to answer every question. Like sometimes, like I said with the vMix one, you can also say like, I don't know the answer to that. And that's okay to say that you don't know the answer, but like, I'm going to get back to him about that, because one, I want to know if you can do that in vMix, but also, but you don't have to answer every single question, because sometimes you're going to get questions that make no sense or that really don't apply to that conversation. And it's okay to just, move on and go back and maybe ask for clarifications in the comments after the show is over.
Yeah, I love that. And it is difficult. There is an art to managing comments at the same time. And, I certainly have not fully grasped it. I think, on this journey, this live streaming journey, but there's always stuff that we're going to learn. Mm-hmm. And I think if you are doing hosting, producing, and moderating all at the same time, that's a massive job. And yes, Restream Studio really helps with that. But of course, if you want, you can bring in somebody else to help moderate. And if there's a question that your moderator or your producer thinks you should be answering, they can ping you and make it easier. Or you can have a guest like Jeff who does it for you, which is great. Right. So,
on that, there's a great question from Freddie. If you can find that one, pull it up.
Yeah, I was just about to put that on. So that's great minds think alike.
Yeah, so he's asking, my mic is not integrated in Restream, but easy with Ecamm. How do I set up my mic in Restream? So there is, if you're talking about Restream Studio, and not, you could use it with Ecamm and integrate Restream, and you could do everything from Ecamm. If your mic is working in Ecamm, that's what I would do. If you're wanting to do like the studio like we're using today, it took me a little while to get it hooked up. It's a browser based, so sometimes you have to give permission to like Chrome to use that mic and that kind of thing. So you give yourself enough time that you go in there and you test and make sure your correct mic is working. But if you've already got Ecamm and it's set up right, then I would just integrate Restream inside of Ecamm and use it that way. Is that what you would say, Ian?
Yeah, definitely. It's all browsers kind of work fairly similarly. You have to make sure you choose the right microphone and webcam. And in Restream Studio, it gives you the option. There's a drop-down menu, and then you just need to select the right microphone. But as you say, sometimes you have to give permission. Yeah,
and Chrome has been really wacky for me. Like a lot of times when I'm onboarding guests to my shows, is for some reason Chrome won't work, or they can't get their mic or the right camera to work. Yeah. And a lot of times we'll say go to Firefox and it'll work. So just be ready to switch browsers if you have to, and sometimes that can fix a lot of the problems.
That's definitely a good tip. And actually I had to do the nuclear option with Chrome and completely wipe it and add it on again, and it worked perfectly after then.
It just doesn't like the British people. That's why it
doesn't like British people.
Yeah, I think you say schedule. That's the reason. Yeah.
What can I say? Well, I think we're almost at an end, but just Fit Daddy says, why doesn't it have an option to stream it on Facebook page? Well, yes, you can. In fact, we're streaming to more than one Facebook page at the same time at the moment, so you can do that. It's definitely possible.
I bet I know what he's asking. A personal profile, and I don't think you can stream to a personal profile, can you? From
you could.
Could you? Can you?
Well, do you know what? I'm not sure.
I don't think any third-party tool can go to your own personal profile. I don't think anyone can.
Yes, you can. You can definitely do that, because I've done that from Ecamm Live. So because you can change the privacy settings.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It's it was groups for a while. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So many things.
Well, that's the thing. Facebook keep changing things, so it gets
Right.
very, very complicated. Brian McGee says, in capital letters, can you see our comments on Facebook? You've not answered any. I'm so terribly sorry, Brian. I've done my best. So it depends on. Well, obviously, I can see this Facebook comment, so I've not deliberately not answered any questions from Facebook. But as Jeff was saying, it's actually very difficult to answer all the comments all at the same time. But I will do my best, and I'm sure Jeff, you'll be able to get back to some comments on the streams as well.
Definitely. Definitely.
So there we go. Well, thanks, Jeff. It's been great to have you on the show. How can people find out more about you, and what are you working on next?
Yes, so you can find a lot about me. I'm Jeff Sieh everywhere, and Jeff is spelled like Jeff, and then Sieh is spelled S as in Sam, I-E-H, I before E, especially in C. But I'm trying this new thing, I really would, and I'm at mainly Pinterest tips and everywhere, but I would really like people, and here I'm using Ecamm to bring this up. See how cool that is? This works in Zoom and everything like else with a virtual camera. To connect with me here, because I don't like to miss things when people message me in different places. And so this is my actual phone number that you can actually message me. There will be a little form that will fill out, but then it comes right to me because I'm really interested in having conversations with people. So message me, tell me that you saw me on Ian's Restream show, and just message me at 903-287-9088. And then it comes to my phone and we can talk, and, I don't spam you or anything like that, but I just really like to have these real conversations. And I'm experimenting with this service called Community, and it's a real number. It comes to my phone, and it's so far it's been really, really cool. So love to connect with you over there.
That's awesome. I love that. Always good to play around with these bits of technology.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Which is great. So just a few other things just before we go. Definitely check out Jeff Sieh, manlypinterest.com, and you've also got that number on the screen. But just a few other comments. Amanda says, please look at this stream and see how it looks. And what else have we got here? Where can I learn more about you guys, past videos about specific topics? What were you going to say, Jeff?
Well, we're everywhere, so you can find our videos on Facebook and YouTube and in our channels. But Brian's comment, I see where it is. It talks about when is Mixcloud Select coming? That's the one he wanted answered. Or can I just add the RTMP to Restream? So I would say, Brian, that the RTMP would be the best way. I do not know anything about Mixcloud Select. Maybe one of the Restream people can answer that in the comments to see when that is coming. But yeah, you could go out with RTMP, so that should work. But I'm unfamiliar with Mixcloud, but I will definitely look into that and see.
Thank you, Jeff. And I'm sure the guys from Restream will be here, and they'll be able to hopefully answer your question. Right. So, Brian, we were not ignoring you. I'm so sorry. It's just so difficult to get back to all the comments. Fab. Well, thank you, Jeff. It's been great to have you so much on the show, which is awesome. But I think that's the end. That's the end of the show. Next week, I'm having a break. We're just having 1 week off, as I was going to be in Canada next week, but because of the lockdown, that's not happening. I'll try not to get too depressed by that. But yeah, it's we'll be having a break next week, and then we'll be back at the usual time next week. So that's going to be awesome. But until next time, I encourage you to embrace the power of multi-streaming so that you can increase your reach and expand your audience. Until next time, see you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Go live with Restream from Ian Anderson Gray, the show from Restream that helps you expand your audience and reach through the power of multi-streaming video. Visit iag.me/Restream for more. And until next time, toodaloo.